So Friday night was just really chill, really chill. We just had a really chill night. Everyone did their own thing, and I was watching some documentaries on YouTube, and one I watched was with the founder of uh, Canva. Now I've forgotten her name off the top of my head. Bet you if I Google it, I will remember. Maybe her name's Christina. Probably not. Let me just check. Really just wanna Melanie. Christina. Sorry, girl. Melanie Perkins, founder of Canva, Australian based woman. Um, cool chick, right? Absolute billionaire. Like, she is absolutely cracked it. And it was just cool hearing her story. I'm all about stories, you know. I tell stories and I also am inspired by and learn best by people sharing who they are. So I watched Melanie. I watched Melanie and her story, and there was one line. There was one line in her story which stuck with me. It really stuck with me. And it was actually a question. And the question was, is there a problem that you feel passionate about that you want to see solved in the world? And if so, get to work. And I was like, yes. So when she asked that question and the answer just came to me, it was clear as day. And for me, that problem is what I'm going to talk about next. Now, I think I should make it. I'll just say it here quickly, and then if I need to make another video for other things, I'll do that. So as soon as I heard that question, I heard the answer, and the problem that I feel passionate about is that people get treated the same way. And having experimented for the last 4, going on probably 5 now years with human design, that's just mind boggling to me. Now, if I drill this down even further, I got a lot of clarity after hearing that question on that documentary from Melanie. So when I heard that question, I was like, oh my goodness. The problem that I see specifically in this moment of my journey is how everyone is treated the same. Well, which is like okay, but expected to perform the same way in corporations or in bigger collectives where there's not a lot of understanding around uniqueness. And I feel that bigger collectives like corporations aren't set up or equipped to value individuals in their uniqueness. I mean, how would you manage it? It's giving at this, like, how we stand with the systems that we have in place. It's giving like everyone has their own set of rules. That's how I feel like people that lead these spaces might feel that it's one set of rules for, this person, another set of rules for that, blah 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 blah. And so how we stand currently to date is that each person is treated fairly the same, they treat people the same way. And when it comes to productivity, it's actually very counterproductive. And what I've learned through going back into full-time employment, uh, out of full-time business, is that in every company that I went to, um, it was the same approach. Like, people are expected to perform to a certain standard, fair, to get a result. Um, but employees really are there for what they can produce. And that's all fair. Like that those are fair things, right? But then how those things get produced and how people are treated are all the same. And not everyone works the same way. Everybody's energy works differently. And so when I heard that question on that documentary from Melanie, I was like, the problem that I feel passionate about is, I want to bring awareness to the collective that it's more it's more productive, sorry, to understand people's uniqueness, because you will get the most out of them and you will get greater harmony in the team because everyone's able to be in their unique, like, supported in the way that they were designed to be supported, to work the way that they're designed to work, and, to be communicated with in the way that they were designed to be communicated. So if everyone knew about this, how productive would workspaces be? And I was like, that's big. And another thing Melanie said was, if it doesn't make you absolutely shit yourself, it's not big enough. This is a shit myself level kind of a goal. And nowhere that I know in corporations, none of them that I've worked some pretty big tech companies, and tech companies are generally like more, how would you say, like open to doing things, right? In a certain way. And generally all, I don't know if I'm making this up, but tech companies seem to follow what each other are doing. And so I don't see this happening in a lot of the company-wide structures. From the top down, it's sort of just like, you have a team and that whole team is managed the same, right? And there's no awareness that there are other ways to work. So for example, for myself, I've walked into this team of all males, and I've had to have some pretty solid boundaries around just what I know my contract and I know my responsibilities, and I see what people do and what people are not doing, and I play within the rules. I know how to bend them if need be, if in integrity. Um, One of those is, for example, working from home. Like in the policy, it says X amount of days, but no one does it. That's what I mean by bending the rules. So I'm like, well, I'm going to bend that if it's not a priority for anyone. However, now is a priority, hence why I'm having discussions in my workplace. So having those discussions and seeing what can be worked out. I'm asking for what I need. Anyway, so I've had to have some pretty solid boundaries around how I need to work. And, the manager that we have is quite American, quite male, quite American, and it's giving Wolf of Wall Street vibes, right? We're in a sales environment, so it's high energy, it's energetic, right? And yeah, so it's full on. And so when he comes over, it's full on. And honestly, every single time that I've been made to, not made, but we all come together for team building. If you're listening, I just did quotation marks, team building. All come into the office and just smash the work. I was pretty much the only one who just said what they needed. So as you may or may not know, I would book my own hotel room because I needed to be close. I didn't need to be traveling all that way for 5 days, when for the last 6, 7 years I've been working from home. So I didn't need that in my life, so I'd book a room. Or I would have boundaries around the times that I needed to go. You know, um, I don't eat my lunch with everybody because that's just not how my design is designed. So I actually take my lunch when everyone's back from lunch, or I'll just take it when I'm, on my schedule. I'm not going to go and have lunch with everybody just because that's what everyone's doing, because it's actually not conducive for my digestive system as per human design. So I like to eat quietly on my own. Um, so I had to have conversations around that, and I was having all these conversations, and I noticed that no one else was having these conversations with the people that needed to know. They were just kind of having it with me and the other team members. But I'm like, well, if that's what you need, why don't you communicate it? So I noticed this pattern of no one really communicating what they actually needed. And they were kind of just like moaning behind the scenes and then doing whatever, you know, doing, going with the flow and doing what everyone else was doing, um, you know, instead. And I was like, yeah, nah. Like, I can see this. And all the times, sorry, that's where I was going. All the times that I've had to work like that, I actually got very, very sick, like unwell, because I was pushing and being pushed too hard. And I was very sick, like tonsillitis, headaches, everything. So my boundaries just became stronger and stronger, to the point where and it's not even like I orchestrated this, but it seemed like life just started to orchestrate and sort of move me away. And so that week, was the week where I was actually planning to take this other job anyway, because that I had been offered. And I wasn't gonna come in for the full on rah 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 week, because my body was like, no, you can't do it. So many things started to happen in that week that I just physically could not go in. I had to handle some stuff at home, so I couldn't go in, and I had to communicate that. And yeah, I wasn't looking like a very good team player. But yeah, the point is that I see that there's a problem where people are being made to perform the same as each other, and it's actually counterproductive. And I wonder if those that like achieving business outcomes, if they could listen deep enough to understand that when you know your own uniqueness and the uniqueness of others, everything gets much more productive. It gets much more honest. It gets much more straightforward. There's no behind, this drama. It doesn't exist, because people know what they need, and they are taught. And this is what I train in. I teach you how to stand up for who you're designed to be. And with ecology, and with ecology and with integrity, to ask and shape your life in the way that you need it. Retrain yourself to live in a way that is in alignment with who you're more designed to be energetically, and to go on that experiment. Just because your chart says something, it doesn't mean that that thing is all the way truth, but it's about taking that map and experimenting with it at least, and then you'll find out. Just like I said with my cooking. Today I've set out to cook 30 meals. I'd never done it before. Went down and bought all the food. I didn't even know if I was underbuying, overbuying, or if I was going to completely fuck everything up. I didn't know, but I had a go. And then I found out, that one rice cooker completely filled 10 containers perfectly. That next rice cooker filled those containers perfectly. I know the exact amount that I need to get next time. We learn through action. We learn through doing. We don't learn through not doing. We don't learn through not having the hard conversations. We don't learn shit through doing that, right? We only learn how to keep talking behind closed doors. And that actually does nothing for us. So even though I do a lot of that, but I do equal parts talking up front and, having honest conversations and talking behind closed doors with the other people who are talking behind closed doors. So look, it's just about balance, because if you just talk behind closed doors, we're only going to start getting frustrated at ourselves that we're not actually communicating it where it needs to go. And so, look, at the end of the day, I actually don't think it's... Okay, wait. At the end of the day, it's nighttime, by the way, as a brother would say, but let me get my words here. It's a collective effort. So what I foresee is that it would be great if, the leaders of these big corporate collective spaces would open up their awareness to how this could be a more productive way of working. And on the same token, because these people who lead would need to know that this is valuable and mean something to the people actually need to start being honest about their experience of having to work in this cookie cutter way. For example, in the places that I've worked, I know that people feel this way about how they work, but the people who can make a difference wouldn't know because they don't tell them. So it's been great for my research purposes that people are coming to me and feel safe and all of that. That's been great for my research purposes, but what I want to push, not push, but what I want to open awareness up to is that, well, if employees don't feel safe, they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So I get that. So firstly, opening up leadership and being like, hey, create safe spaces for your people to actually talk. Never mind these fucking engagement surveys that people just put in whatever you want to hear. Or, they're too fed up and so they do it anonymously or whatever it may be. Just listen. Be open to the truth and listen so that we can be more productive, genuinely. So that is a big, old, hairy, scary goal that I've got going on here. Is to shape what I'm doing so that that messaging in the maps I'm creating is talking to those people, the people who are leading, and also the people who are waking up enough to realize that this ain't it. And the managers that are going, oh, maybe this ain't it. Or, why is there so much, what's that word? Dysfunction up in here. Why is this dysfunction up in here? How do we get some cohesion? Well, this is a way that we can. So really, I'm speaking to the people who are interested in making shifts in this structure. That's who I want to talk to. And then obviously what I teach and how I teach and how I put together, how I simplify really complex things. That's the offering to say, here, now have a look at... Yeah, so the offerings are here. This is the suggestion. And I'm really mindful about, I don't want to push this down people's throat and make them feel wrong for what is actually happening. Because I'm so fully aware that this is just a current system or structure that is in place that has been working. But like anything, and as we say as coaches, you can't you can't solve problems to get to a new level with the same thinking that created the problems. You got to upgrade the thinking. So that's the mission. And that level of clarity came through me losing 2 jobs in one day. So a final thing I want to share is that uh yeah, I watched a little reel, and it was exactly this. Like, sometimes when you get like whacked on your ass and you like you lose 2 jobs in one day type thing, and you're like, um when your soul has, when you got nowhere to run, when you were just completely whacked on your ass and humbled and made to sit the fuck down and pay attention, that's when, like, your soul, your waiter gets the moment to just like lift you up. And in that moment on that day, I was like, no, we got this. Like, we can handle it. Don't know what I'm handling or how we're going to do it, but yeah. And all I know is that these structures, what that day taught me was that corporations will do what corporations are going to do. And what they're doing is so, like, so out the gate, like, so disconnected. So disconnected. How are you going to be that disconnected? How you don't know what's going on? That we're disconnected. Yeah? So the next part of the story, and we are kicking on, I am aware, is that after that documentary, must have been, I don't know what days I watched what, but I ended up watching the Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale. The show, it was some dystopian cooked shit, right? But it's pretty much like the world going to shit and women's rights get taken away, and they end up, women can't have babies, so women become these like baby producing instruments, and men are in control. It's cooked, right? And as I was watching that show, and if you haven't watched it, I'm not saying go and watch it because it's fucking deep, but it's pretty much women's rights get taken away. And but in this day and age, like, imagine just like waking up tomorrow and there's like martial things start changing, like it's scary because it's so like, is that where we're going? And I remember watching that show and being like, I fucking wish you would. Hey. I was like, I wish you would. Not because I'm gangster, but because in my mind's eye I saw our men. I saw the men in my life. And I was like, oh, I fucking wish you would. Like, the men in my life, the men in my whānau, the tane in my whānau would never, ever let that shit slide. You know, the relationship between tane men and wahine women. It's There is such a beautiful I'm not saying all dynamics are like this, but this is how it is in my world. The dynamics between Tane and Wahine are fucking amazing. So the dynamics between Tane and Wahine are beautiful. So in our indigenous cultures, mainly the ones that I see, which are the Pacifica, Polynesian, Maori cultures, everything begins with the wahine. Life begins from the wahine. Whenever you go into any cultural ceremonial, um, uh, any spaces with cultural ceremonies, the first voice you hear is the wahine with our karanga to ensure protection in all realms. Then, and I'm just getting goosebumps as I say this, then our tane come in. And when our tane speak to stand and engage, the wahine are behind. And they stand to, our tane stand to protect us. And I watched the show and I was like, I, I wish you would. You know, like, not I wish you would, but I was just like, oh, I was like, this would never, what I'm trying to say here, without all the slang is, I would confidently love to say this will never happen in our world. We would rather, like, we'll fight. You know what I mean? We're fighting. Before that happens. Tane, wahine, together. Um, in my worldview, as a Maori, Pacifica, Polynesian, wahine, that scenario is cooked. You can't have one without the other. Right? We cannot. We weave and we make each other hum. And I'm not just talking like intimate relationships, I'm talking about like even me and my brothers, you know? Um, Me and my brothers, um, like we all support each other in very unique ways, different brother to brother, different sister to sister. You know, wahine te wahine is another dynamic, tane te tane is another dynamic. But a wahine te tane dynamic, where there's trust, where there's aroha, love, another level. There's protection and then there's nurturing. It's beautiful. That's what I was watching this like, hey, never, never would this happen on our watch. And then I got thinking, I was like, you know what? It just shows me how beautiful, you know, our indigenous cultures really are, because ingrained in our roots are these values. Ingrained in these roots are these values. Yeah? And such hate doesn't get through because there's understanding of how we all weave and work together. Everybody, everybody has their place, and we all work and weave together. And there's no back without the front, and there's no front without the back, and there's no world where one is superior to the other. It's side by side. It's equality. It's aroha. And anything else is madness. Yeah? And this includes our Mahu family, our Takatapui family. We've all got our place. We weave together beside each other. You know, we all have our places, and we know where these are, and we understand each other. And it's rooted in aroha, not power, control, all the rest of the shit. You know? Another one. Why do you think everything we do is for the next 7 generations and not just for the immediate financial gain, you know, of the now, the targets of now? Why do you think Indigenous people are connected to the earth? Because we need to protect that, because that's what protects and sustains for the next 7 generations, which are our children. And the whole point of this program was that women were losing babies and couldn't give birth. So there was a real drive around needing to create populations. But for what? To be honest, who the fuck wants to bring children up in a world where it's cooked like that? What is the point? Like, what is even the point? There is no point to that way of living, to that way of thinking. It's completely cooked. It's fucked. So, yeah, like, what is even the end goal of doing that? In Indigenous cultures, we know that te mea nui o te ao, the most important thing, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. All people. People. The most important thing is people. And that is law. And we look after our actions now, our actions we do is for the next 7 generations. That's what it's about. Not the actions we do today look after this situation right here, but fuck the next 7. No, that these actions right now tick these boxes and create these targets, get these targets, but they burn everyone out, and then we get to places where, people have issues with having children. We work so like robotically and force these results that human bodies are like and start not doing what they're designed to do because they're so fucking burnt out. So after watching all of those things, I was like, mission accepted. Let's go and talk to the people who want to like slow down to speed up a little bit. When I say slow down, I mean play smart. Slow down to learn and listen and understand uniqueness, to be able to speed up in ways that are natural for people to sustain. Because the way we're doing it's not sustainable and it's counterproductive because everyone's fucking unhappy. Let's find the leaders that are willing to hear that, and let's find the individuals that are willing to speak up for that and give their feedback about how useful that would be. Mission accepted, yes. And so that is what is on for this week for me. I'm going to leave it there. Been here for a little while talking. It feels good to share this with you and just everything that goes on in my experience. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. If you've watched this all the way through, and some of my loyal tiare, my beautiful flowers in my world, I know that you watch these, and yeah, it's just a big ngā mihi kia koutou, ngā mihi kia koe. Thank you to you, for being here and for resonating, and it makes it a lot easier with all of this foundational work and the reason why I'm doing this, all of this, because I knew it was never about, for me, like it wasn't just about making money, because my DNA says it so. Like I'm Māori, like I'm Indigenous. I don't just do things to make money. I don't do any of this business to just have stuff. And I've really couldn't give a shit about investment properties. Like, that's just me. I'd rather live in a caravan and travel the world and have one in each country if I were to make that amount of money. Like, I don't really care, but when I have a mission that I'm on, and I need resources for that. Okay, now let's get to work. So it makes it easier for me to say this part, which is I know who I'm speaking to now. Those that care about this, those that care about creating impact around this area, creating sovereign workplaces, yeah, that care about having sovereignty in our workplace, in our lives, because we spend a lot of time working. Yeah, that shit's not going anywhere. The last piece I want to add on to this is an apology. An apology and a sorry about me. It's not really an apology, it's not really a sorry about me. It's just a I see what I see now. For the longest time, I have sort of been hard on our network marketing and affiliate marketing community, because they were out here making money quite visibly, quite, just quite, and I just, as I said, I'm not about all the way making money. Like, it just doesn't, it's not that for me. But here's one thing I do value align on. And it's, there's an important saying, don't focus on what makes us different, focus on what brings us together. Let's focus on what brings us together, Ned, because Couple Order Collective, bringing people together. Let's focus on what brings us together. And for me, in these industries, network marketing, affiliate marketing, any other marketing online, I apologize because I have been quite hard on people there. And what I see now is that this is probably the one model to date so far that allows you to be you as you work, because you actually do have the autonomy to show up how you show up, to express how you express, to work when and how you need to work. So you get that autonomy to do that. You're not being, there are some parameters and some guidelines and some, policies, but for the most part, how you create your revenue, and if you create that revenue, is based on what you put into it and how you show up, and you have the autonomy to do that. So actually, it is a sovereign workplace ish. I mean, there's some improvements, right? There could be some improvements, but like anywhere, right? So, aroha atu kia koutou. Yeah, just sending my love out there on that, just because, we've always got to be humble enough to fall on our sword when we see something differently um, than how we saw it before. And it's okay to see things differently to how we saw them before. Our perspectives always change. They change as we need them to change. We see things as we need to see them. And yeah, kapai. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Ko Māori e koutou. Yeah, have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll see you around. I'll chat to you when I chat to you next week. All right. Ka kite.